Biomolecules. So all the living organisms, they are made up of fundamental unit we know, which is known as the cell. And each cell, it is made up of the organic as well as the inorganic compound. And when the elemental analysis of this cell constituent, it shows that the cell comprises of the main element, the carbon is there, oxygen, hydrogen, nitrogen, and the phosphorus, etc. So, what are actually these biomolecules? So, biomolecules, they can be defined as any organic molecule which is present in the living cell, which includes the carbohydrate, the protein, the fats, etc. And each biomolecule is essential for the body functioning, and they are manufactured within the body only. They can vary in the nature, they can vary in the type, their structure may be different, but like some are the straight, some are maybe in the cyclic form, or some are in the both form, in the cyclic as well as in the linear chain. But they can also vary in the physical properties. For example, they have the different water solubilities and different melting point, but these biomolecules basically they are composed of these elements only, and they are very much essential for our proper functioning of the body. So there are the two terms, the biomolecules and the biomacromolecules. Now, what happened actually? One feature is common to all those compounds that are found in the soluble pool, that is in the when they are found in the acidic extract of some um, a substance. So these features, or we can say the one feature, it is common to all those compound which is found in the soluble pool, that is the molecular weight. The acid soluble compound, their molecular weight ranges from 18 to 800 daltons. Okay, while acid insoluble compound or insoluble fraction compound, which includes the protein, nucleic acid, polysaccharide, and also the lipid. The lipid here are exceptional. I'll discuss it here. So their molecular weight, it is greater than 10,000 daltons. Okay. So on the basis of the molecular weight, there are the two types of the biomolecules. One is the micromolecule whose molecular weight is less than um, 1000, while those molecules which have the we can say the molecular weight which have the weight greater than the 1000 dalton, which includes the protein, nucleic acid, polysaccharide, lipids, they are known as the macromolecules or biomacromolecules, while the micromolecules are known as the biomolecules. Okay, so these macromolecules, they are found in the acid insoluble. These are found in the acid insoluble fraction with the molecular weight exceeding the 1000 daltons. Okay, and they are of the polymeric nature because the macromolecule which are found in the acid insoluble fraction, they are the polymeric substance except the lipid. Why lipid are exceptional? Because the lipid having the molecular weight that is below the 800 dalton. So it should be found in the acid soluble fraction, but it is not the case. The lipid are found in the acid insoluble fraction, and their molecular weight is less than 800. Why? Because lipid are not strictly a macromolecule. They are present in the structure like the cell membrane. We know that in the cell membrane, the lipid are generally present in the bilayer form like this. Okay, so lipids are generally present in the cell membrane, in the bilayer structure. Now, when the grinding actually disrupt the cell membrane or the cell structure and the membrane fragment, they form the vesicles like this. Okay, this is the vesicle in which the polar head is generally toward the water loving side, and the non-polar side is usually at the center of the vesicle that is away from the water. So they form the vesicles, and these are not water soluble. Okay, these are not water soluble, thus contributing to the macromolecule fraction. And the composition of the acid soluble pool, basically it represents the cytoplasmic composition. All the cytoplasmic composition, basically they represent the acid soluble, and the macromolecule from the cytoplasm and the organelle, they become the acid insoluble. So the entire chemical composition is both the acid soluble plus the acid insoluble fraction together represent the complete chemical composition of the living tissues or organism. And the water is the most abundant chemical in the living organism. Okay. So, as we have discussed that the water cells are made up of water, inorganic ions, the carbon-containing molecules. The water is the most abundant molecules in the cell, making up to 70% or more of the total cell mass, while the protein is between 10 to 15 percentage, and the nucleic acid is ranging from 5 to 7%. The carbohydrate is 3%, lipid is 2%, and ions are 1%. So, in summary, if we represent the chemical composition of the living tissues from the abundance point of view, so these are basically arranged in the decreasing order, and we observe that the water is the most abundant chemical in the living organism. There are generally the four classes of the biomolecules. The first one is the carbohydrate, the second one is the protein, the third one is the nucleic acid, the lipids. So carbohydrates are generally used for the energy storage and for the structural support. As we know, the structure is very much intense, it is much branched, and it is rigid. So they are used for the energy storage and the structural support. For example, the glucose, starch, cellulose, etc. The protein, basically their function is in the enzyme formation, and they are the structural component and also the transporters of the antibodies, and they are generally composed of the amino acid like this. This is the structure of the protein, which is made up of amino acid. Next biomolecule is the nucleic acid, which includes the DNA and the RNA. DNA, we know that the deoxyribonucleic acid and the ribonucleic acid is RNA. Their function is in the genetic information storage and as well as in the protein synthesis. So they are basically composed